The lights flicker once, twice, then nothing. Complete darkness swallows your neighborhood like a predator claiming its territory. No gentle hum from the refrigerator. No comforting glow from street lamps. Just silence and the sudden realization that everything you've taken for granted just vanished. This isn't a blown fuse or a transformer down the block. This is total grid failure, and you've got exactly 7 days to prove whether you're the type who adapts or the type who becomes another tragic headline. Most folks won't make it past day 3. Not because they're weak, but because they're unprepared for what happens when modern civilization stops pretending to be permanent. The water stops flowing. The sewage backs up. Store shelves get stripped bare faster than a carcass in the wild. Your perfectly normal neighbor starts looking at your house like it's a shopping mall and he's got a black credit card. Here's the brutal truth. You don't get to ease into this. There's no practice round, no tutorial mode. The clock starts ticking the moment that power dies, and every decision you make in the first 72 hours determines whether you see day 8 or become another cautionary whisper around a trash can fire. Day 1 hits you like a cold slap. Everyone's still in denial, checking their phones every 30 seconds like the towers might magically resurrect themselves. Wrong move. While they're standing around waiting for normalcy to return, you need to be moving with purpose. The municipal water system runs on electric pumps. No power means no pressure. You've got maybe 12 hours before those taps become useless decorations. Fill everything that holds liquid. Bathtubs, cooking pots, empty bottles, that ugly vase sitting in your closet collecting dust. If it can contain water, it becomes a lifeline. Don't be picky about containers right now. You're not hosting a dinner party. You're preventing dehydration from claiming you before the week's out. But here's where most people screw up. They fill containers and think they're done. Wrong. After 48 hours, stagnant water becomes a breeding ground for bacteria that'll kill you just as dead as thirst. Every drop needs to be boiled before it touches your lips. No exceptions. Not for coffee, not for brushing teeth, not for anything. Food becomes your next battlefield. Forget about balanced meals and dietary preferences. You're eating for survival now, for pure caloric fuel. That ice cream in your freezer? It's already soup. The milk's going sour. Everything perishable is on a countdown timer that's ticking faster than you think. Cook it all immediately. Your gas stove still works as long as the municipal supply holds. A charcoal grill works. A fire in your backyard works. You're not trying to impress anyone with your culinary skills. You're trying to extract every possible calorie before it rots and becomes worthless. Canned goods become currency. Dried pasta transforms into treasure. Rice and beans turn into your salvation. But here's the catch. You can't eat like you normally do. Rationing isn't just smart, it's mandatory. 7 days stretches into eternity when you're burning 3,000 calories daily from stress and the constant low-grade terror of not knowing what comes next. Light seems simple until you realize how dangerous it becomes. Candles provide warmth and visibility, but they also turn your shelter into a potential crematorium. Flashlights work until the batteries die, and then they become expensive paperweights. You need sustainable illumination. Hand crank flashlights become invaluable. Don't have one? Make one. Strip a small motor from an old toy or electronics. Attach a handle. Wire it to an LED bulb. Physics doesn't care that society collapsed. Spin the handle, electrons move, light happens. But here's the most critical mistake people make on day 1. They advertise their preparedness, lights blazing like a beacon, music playing like nothing's wrong. In a blackout, the house with power becomes a target, not for holiday carolers or friendly neighbors, for desperate people who've realized their own mortality is staring them in the face. Stay dark, stay quiet, stay invisible. The goal isn't to be the hero of the neighborhood. The goal is to survive long enough to see what comes after day 7. Day 2 brings a new kind of horror. The smell starts creeping in. Toilets don't flush when the pumps fail. Your phone becomes an expensive brick. The streets develop an eerie quiet that feels wrong, like the pause before something growls in the darkness. Sanitation becomes your new obsession because this is how you avoid dying from diseases that killed people a century ago. No running water means no sewage system. That means bacteria, viruses, and the kind of infections that turn a minor cut into a death sentence. You need a latrine, and you need it now. Dig a hole at least 200 feet from any water source you might use later. Make it 2 feet deep, minimum. This isn't about comfort or privacy. This is about preventing cholera, dysentery, and every other waterborne nightmare from setting up shop in your intestines. Use it. Cover it with dirt after every visit. No exceptions. Your future self will thank you when you're not doubled over with gut-wrenching cramps on day 5. No toilet paper? Welcome to reality. Leaves work if you know which ones won't give you a rash. Old newspapers work. Cloth works if you're willing to wash it later. And speaking of washing, ash from your fire becomes soap. It kills bacteria and strips oil from your skin. Not pleasant, but pleasant isn't the priority anymore. Water becomes an obsession by day 2 because you're already running low. Rainwater turns into liquid gold. Set out every tarp, trash bag, and container you can find. Angle them to funnel every precious drop into your storage. But don't drink it straight. Even rainwater picks up contaminants from rooftops and air pollution. Boil it. Filter it through layers of sand, gravel, and charcoal if you can manage it. No rain in the forecast? Time to get creative. A solar still sounds complicated but works on simple physics. Dig a hole. Place a container in the center, stretch plastic sheeting over the top with a small weight in the middle, creating a funnel shape. The sun evaporates moisture from the soil. It condenses on the plastic, and gravity drips clean water into your container. Slow as molasses, but it works. Find streams, ponds, even puddles if you're desperate. Assume everything is contaminated because it probably is. Boil it once, filter it through whatever you can improvise, then boil it again. Paranoid? Maybe. Dead from waterborne illness? Definitely not. Heat becomes life or death if winter's knocking. Your house transforms from shelter into icebox without a furnace. Electric blankets become decorative fabric. You need to think smaller and smarter. Seal off one room, the smallest you can tolerate. Block windows with blankets, stuff towels under doors, create a pocket of warmth you can actually maintain. Fire indoors carries risks that'll kill you quieter than freezing. Carbon monoxide is invisible, odorless, and absolutely lethal. If you must burn something inside, crack a window for ventilation. Use a metal trash can as a makeshift stove. Burn only wood, never plastic or treated materials that release toxic fumes. No fireplace? A terracotta pot positioned over several candles radiates surprising heat. Not enough to toast marshmallows, but sufficient to keep your core temperature stable and your brain functioning well enough to make smart decisions instead of desperate ones. Day 3 arrives with new challenges. Society's facade starts cracking like old paint. Some neighborhoods band together, sharing resources and skills. Others descend into something uglier, where the veneer of civilization peels away to reveal what people become when they're scared and hungry. You start hearing rumors floating like smoke through the darkness. The power's coming back tomorrow. The government's sending help. The military's mobilizing. None of it matters. Plan like no one's coming because probably no one is, at least not in time to save you from the choices you make this week. Security stops being theoretical. Your neighbor isn't waving anymore. He's calculating. Lock your doors. But don't stop there. Board windows if you can do it quietly. Look poor, look empty, look boring. The house that appears abandoned doesn't attract attention. The house that looks well-stocked gets visitors you don't want. Twant. 7 days, 168 hours. That's the difference between someone who adapts and someone who becomes a statistic whispered around makeshift fires. You've learned to treat water like liquid platinum, to ration food like your life depends on it because it does, to stay invisible when everyone else is advertising their desperation. You've turned trash into tools, silence into strategy, and darkness into your ally. The power might flicker back on tomorrow. The trucks might roll in with supplies and apologies. Or this might be your new reality, where the strong aren't the ones with the biggest muscles but the ones who planned ahead, who stayed calm while others panicked, who understood that survival isn't about being lucky. It's about being prepared. Your neighbors are still checking their dead phones, still waiting for someone else to fix their problems. But you've already proven something to yourself. When everything familiar disappeared, when comfort became a memory and convenience turned into a joke, you didn't just survive. You adapted. You figured it out. The grid failed, but you didn't. Remember that. The next time the lights go out, you'll be ready. Because once you've walked through that darkness and come out the other side, you realize something profound. You're tougher than you thought, smarter than you knew, and more capable than you ever imagined. The real power was inside you all along.